SDSU students were out and about this past weekend celebrating the start of school. There were some organized events on campus and some party buses picking students up so they don't drink and drive. Administrators at SDSU spent the summer getting ready for their students' arrival. That includes beefing up the school's sexual assault policies after a state investigation found many of those policies inadequate. Sexual assaults are common on college campuses, and freshmen are particularly at risk, especially during their first few months of school. That period is called the red zone, says Campus Police Captain Joshua Mays.
I think the transition from high school to college is obviously a shock to anyone. There's a lot of transition that happens, a lot of learning that happens. You know, mom and dad aren't there telling them what to do. They don't have a high school teacher making them report to school.
And there's the college party scene.
The vast majority of our sexual assaults that occur here, alcohol is a factor. We typically see that one or both, the victim and or the suspect, have been either consuming alcohol or alcohol was involved or a factor in the overall sexual assault.
Since 2010, 65 sexual assaults have been reported to campus police. Of the 40 assaults in which we know the age of the victim, more than half were 18 or 19 years old. But these numbers represent only a sliver of the problem. Most victims don't report assaults to police. SDSU also has a large commuter population, so assaults in, say, Pacific Beach, where a lot of students live, aren't reflected in those campus numbers. Confirming the number of assaults might be hard, but critics say that education and prevention are exactly what universities should be doing well, and most aren't. The state audit pointed out that SDSU does not adequately train its faculty to respond to a student who might come to them. Gail Mendez works with student survivors of sexual assault. She's an attorney with a local rape crisis center. She says too often faculty just don't know what to say.
Probably the most common fact scenario that I get is a victim coming to me and they've already reported the sexual assault to a faculty member, and that faculty member is not the Title IX coordinator, and they tell the student, they engage in victim blaming. They tell the student maybe it was just a misunderstanding. They discourage the student from going forward, telling them how hard it will be. And so that we know that the first person a victim talks to is a pivotal point of conversation.
Jessica Rento is the Title IX coordinator at SDSU. Sexual assaults fall under Title IX, which bans sex discrimination in education. She hopes to mandate training for all staff this year, but that has to be negotiated with the union. Rento has already overhauled freshman orientation, which the audit criticized for skimming the topic of sexual assaults. Last year's presentation was 5 minutes long. This year, it was just over a half hour and included a celebrity-studded PSA.
If she doesn't consent, or if she can't consent, it's rape.
There are also plans for a women's center staffed by a rape crisis advocate. The audit has forced SDSU to take a hard look at its policies, but advocates like Jeff Buchholz wonder why it's taken so long for universities to deal with the problem.
As someone who's been on this campus since I was a graduate student, starting in 2003, so over a decade on the campus, I was asking for this, for a lot of the things that came out in the audit, I was lobbying for in 2003, and not alone. Faculty that I worked with in women's studies and sociology, other graduate students and survivors have been asking for this and 2003 is a short end, for generations. The campuses knew these problems existed.
Rento is hopeful about what they can accomplish this year. She sees the audit as an opportunity.
We have so many people on campus doing good work on this, in this area, but to some extent, they were all working separately. And the audit really forced us to get together and talk about what we're doing and collaborate and see how we can each help each other do a better job at what we're already doing.
As for the students, they begin a school year excited about the future and hopefully better informed. Angela Carone, KPBS News.